Hey guys, welcome to Prince of Peace Tarot. I'm Justin, and today I'll be doing an inner child reading for those of you with Sagittarius placements in your chart. So if you have Sagittarius anywhere within your chart, this reading could resonate with you. And if it does, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be updated anytime that I put out a reading. Okay guys, so before I jump into your spread, let's say a prayer. Infinite Creator, Olodumare, to my higher self, my Ori, Ashu, Obatala, to the Egun Marine Laye, Holy Spirit, Spirit Guides, to my benevolent ancestors, known and unknown, Florian Williams, Norman Williams, Exius Willie, thank you for allowing me to source the most accurate reading for those with Sagittarius placements in their chart. All right, guys, let's get into this inner child reading. And this reading was inspired by the fact that I've been seeing so much about chakras. In your last Starseed reading, the card underneath the deck was the Chakra Kabbalah. So there has been a call for you guys to balance out your chakras because you're going through a Kundalini awakening. So we were talking about how if you're feeling some sense of anxiety or physical pains or just a lot of old things coming up for you, it is because that Kundalini energy is going up through your chakras and it's hitting on blocks. So let's try to unearth what some of those blocks are. And I decided to use the inner child cards, okay? Can you guys see that? It's a fairy tale tarot, inner child cards, okay? And it is a 3-card spread, but 5 cards total. So I have 5 different messages for you here. I do definitely see a connection with all the cards here. So each card will be a message, or there'll be several messages for you here. So take whatever resonates, whatever doesn't, go ahead and leave behind. Leave it for the next person. So let's go ahead and get into this reading, okay? It takes the tarot and it applies fairy tale stories to it, which is really, really cool because I loved fairy tales as a child. Oh my God, y'all don't understand. Every weekend, or not every weekend, let me not hype it up too much. When movies would come out, okay? Because remember back then when Blockbuster was around and we had to really wait around for something in theaters to come to video, you would get excited about like going to Blockbuster. At least I know my dad did. My dad loved movies. But my younger me self, before I got into all the movies like my dad was, I loved fairy tales. And there used to be I can't remember who the name of the production company that did it, but there were videos of fairy tales, okay? They would get enacted. And I remember the Snow Queen, Rumpelstiltskin, what else? Oh my God. Jack and the Beanstalk, all of them, whatever they made on VHS, when we rented whatever movie was coming out, we would grab a fairy tale movie, okay, just for me, because I was the only one who wanted to watch my fairy tale movies. So this is kind of cool. Kind of takes me back to my own childhood, but gives me these cards at least give a greater understanding as to what maybe those fairy tales are trying to tell us, okay? So your first card, which is at the top of the deck, is Rapunzel, okay? We have Rapunzel. All right, and this is representative of the Tower. All right, so let's see what your inner child is saying here with Rapunzel. Give me a second, guys. Let me get this for you. Rapunzel, Rapunzel. Okay, here we go. Rapunzel. So it says, the lightning struck tower has always been the central image for the 16th card of the major arcana. Over the centuries, it has been designed with male and female figures falling from the top of a tower wall. This symbol portrays the purging of ego-centered consciousness and the recognition that material foundations cannot be the basis for spiritual life. Material foundations cannot be the basis of spiritual life, okay? Humanity can erect a Tower of Babel, elegant buildings and shimmering skyscrapers, but humility must accompany our greatest efforts and achievements as we reach toward the heavens. The fairy tale Rapunzel represents the tower in the inner child cards. And the funny thing, this first description, before I go back into the description of the card, reminds me of, for some of you guys, your inner child could be talking about work. That's the very first thing that came to my mind is, what are we searching and striving for and building our life upon? And if it is about a skyscraper or a pretty place that we work at, or a pretty place that we're just trying to possess or have or own, that's not a good basis for building your life. It is a good motivation, but it should not be the foundation, right? Your foundation is totally different from your motivations. So you have to build from a place of something stronger, and that's somewhere in the spirit, okay? And it may be, what I'm trying to say is, it's who are you? Who are you? Because you may know that your job doesn't reflect who you are, but if you're the type of person who doesn't know that, then that's where you are going to find your tower falling down, okay? There's a difference between you and your job or your title or your position or where you work or what you own. There's a big difference. And when you don't understand that, that is where you will find the tower falling down, because there is something in the material that you are actually believing is you. And that's not true, because nothing in the material world is going to last, all right? So your spirit or your inner child could be trying to let you know, like, hey, the things you are trying to build up, the towers you're building in your life, you're not building them on a sturdy foundation. Or let's try to build something from a more genuine, real, authentic place, okay? All right. So it says, in the story of Rapunzel, okay? In the story, a couple prays for a child. The woman's wish is granted, and while she's pregnant, she sees a beautiful garden over her fence. She asks her husband to take some of the greenery that grows there. However, it turns out that this garden belongs to an enchantress, and the husband is caught stealing herbs. The enchantress tells him that in order to live, he must promise her his daughter. Hastily, he agrees, abandoning common sense for the love of his wife. The daughter is named Rapunzel, and at age 12, the onset of puberty, she is taken away by the enchantress. She is locked into a tower that has no steps. Besides her beauty, she has a wonderful singing voice and a long golden braid. All right. Now, before I get all into, because it goes actually more into the story of Rapunzel, and I'm going to fast forward it, because basically Rapunzel's locked up there. She doesn't see anybody. A prince comes along, and he hears the enchantress telling Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long hair. So he decides, hey, I'm going to repeat that same thing. Let your hair down. When he calls, she lets her hair down thinking it's the enchantress. He climbs up, and he's seeing Rapunzel almost every night, right? After that, because she's shocked. You know, I ain't seen no man in a long time, right? So they're seeing each other. When the enchantress finds out, she cuts Rapunzel's braid and banishes her into a desert. Now Rapunzel's off in this desert alone and nothingness, okay? Right. Where some of you guys may feel like you are when it comes to certain things or trying to make a decision. You may feel like you're in a desert. So she's banished out there. And when the prince comes back, he calls down Rapunzel, let down your long hair. And the enchantress, pretending to be Rapunzel, lets down her hair or some hair, whatever the case may be, climbs up and pushes the prince down from the tower. He falls into some bushes or something like that, and he's blinded. In his blindness, he wanders off into the wilderness, into the desert, okay? The same desert that Rapunzel got cast out into. There they meet each other again, okay? And that's where I think they said her tears brings back his sight. They end up having two children, a boy and a girl. They have twins, a boy and a girl. So let's go back. What this is saying is, traditionally, this card, okay, has been affiliated with the planet Mars, which is talking about the tower. The tower is affiliated with the planet Mars, okay? That warlike energy we've been feeling for you guys, coming from different places, whether it be work or family or friends. So it says the fairy tale focuses on ego-oriented issues, all right? Hair is a manifestation of ego. Rapunzel is unevolved, yet in the tower she goes through deep changes. This is symbolic of the fact that we cannot enter the tower until we reach puberty, okay? Because at a certain time in our lives, when we're going through a change, do we come across towers. So if you're finding a tower in your life, it's because there's a change about to happen. Right? Same with puberty, which is a big change, okay? So then we are moved beyond ourselves, shocked into new awareness. Rapunzel singing represents the awakening of her throat chakra, which is funny because chakras have been the focus of the past couple readings that I've been picking up for you guys. And the throat chakra could be something where you may be feeling an issue, okay? So emphasizing her need to be heard and recognized by the world, the real you. Now it's time for the real you to step forward, okay? Her long hair is connected with the unfoldment of ego-centered consciousness. In Rapunzel's situation, her new life is the desert experience where she gives birth, symbolizing her initiation into a greater existence. And I've been telling you guys that too. You have been going through your own life initiation. Life is initiating you. Rather than going through some sort of mystery school, right now, your mystery school is your life. It's your life. It's the things that you are coming upon that are challenging. These are your initiation lessons, right? So, the blinded prince symbolizes the need to stop our active pursuits and to avoid becoming dependent on our outer senses. Constantly searching. Remember, that's been a thing that's been coming up for you guys. Searching for the right thing. What's the next best thing? What is going to get me further? What is going to get me seen? What is going to get me what I want? Okay? Because in his desires, going up, constantly searching for Rapunzel, he gets knocked down and then he's blinded. Right? Okay. And then it talks about our outer senses. Some of us are searching for things based off what they look and what they think that it could do for us, for our ego selves. That job has more money. This person is more beautiful. Whatever the case may be, you know? But you're making choices off ego, okay? So it says, each individual at the tower stage of reality must journey within and cultivate her or his higher psychic abilities and intuitive thought processes. Which is funny because the last time I think I spoke about the throat chakra, okay, that blue energy, I told you it's connected to your third eye, right? The sixth chakra. Okay, so we're talking about I was talking about empathy, and it was your clairsentience is your empathy, and then you moving into more of a, oh my gosh, it was Claire. I can't remember my clairs right now, but I told you it was about vision. I kept saying vision. So some of you could be seeing visions, dreams becoming more vivid, sort of a prophetic feeling, your psychic ability enhancing, but it starts in your throat. The throat chakra governs telepathic or telepathy, all right? Your awareness, the messages that you are receiving intuitively, okay? So when it's blocked, that ability is blocked. And what it's telling you is, here, look, let me read it again. It says, the tower stage of reality must ask you to journey within and cultivate your own higher psychic abilities and intuitive thought processes. Psychic ability and intuitive thought processes are a part of the human experience. I think sometimes when we're having starseed readings and different things like that, we think, I hope I never convey it, that you're only growing these abilities to become a reader or to become a psychic, and that's what you are and what you do. No, that's why I always mention, like, no matter what your profession is, whatever your spiritual gift is, use it in that way. Use it along with whatever it is you do. I don't care what you do. But psychic ability and intuitive processes are a human birthright. Whatever you become or whoever you are, the ability for you to be psychic and to be very strongly intuitively aware are just a part of your birthright, and it's a part of your growing process as a human being. It is an aspect of our lives that we don't talk about or consider. We don't talk about it at all. And sometimes we remove it when we bring in religion. So when you're raised or you grow up in a religious household, psychic ability and intuitive awareness are things that people make you feel weird about. You know, like if you had the experience, people are, oh yeah, there you go, talking about that stuff again. Oh, isn't that like witchcraft or the devil or whatever? Stupid. People respond to you like an idiot, all right? And that's just because they don't know. But what I'm saying is that it is a part of your human birthright, no matter who you are, okay? That is something that in your growth, you're supposed to be able to do, is hone in your psychic ability, hone in your intuitive processing, okay? So it says, when this card appears in your reading, be prepared for transformative experiences. The only certainty now is change and metamorphosis. That's the only thing that's certain right now. Things are going to change. Unexpected and shocking events may be on the horizon. Purge your ego of old desires, fears, and grudges. A sudden mental breakthrough can help release you from personality attachments and limitations. Just as Rapunzel's golden braid was chopped off by the enchantress in order to banish her from her loving prince, or her active will, okay, so is your ego consciousness being refined and changed, okay, because you could be using your will in the wrong way. So if what you are trying to will that is not in alignment with you is all of a sudden getting cut off or cut away, there's a reason for it, because they want you to sort of update your thinking and your consciousness, upgrade it, metamorphosize it, all right? Her active will, so is your ego consciousness being refined and changed. It is time to cut away the strands of the past that connect you to old karma and worn out patterns and emerge into the purity and clarity of a revived future, all right? A revived future. So some of this Mars-like war energy that you're feeling on the job, in your relationships with people, partners and family members and friends, it is because it is meant to change you. You're going to have to do away with the old. Things are not the same anymore, okay? So your inner child is asking you to look at your motivations. Look at your motivations, all right? That's the one thing that they're asking you to look at. The card underneath the deck is the Six of Swords, but it came in reverse. This is the card we have, all right? Give me 1 sec. Let me get that for you. Six of Swords. Here we go, Six of Swords. This card says, the grand and dramatic salute pictured in this card is a tribute to the active force of the mind that has found unity and success. Each child holds a cup representing the heart force and a sword representing the mind force, okay? The destination has been reached and the search for clarity is complete. There is focus and unified vision. There is responsibility, loyalty, and friendship. At this level of exalted awareness, the individual has merged with the ideal of community. So the ideal of community, less I focused, more we focused, okay? So there is a focus and unified vision. There is responsibility, loyalty, and friendship. At this level of exalted awareness, the individual, I read that already, I'm sorry guys. It's the ideal of community. From this union, the mission to serve the planet is possible. The heightened mind symbolized by the sword is infused with light. The mind is brilliant and full of triumph. You have reached a pinnacle. Foresight and inspiration has embraced your mind, and it is as if warm sunlight is evaporating the waters of negative thinking and fear. Salute, sit up straight, close your eyes, and let the light of the solar fire become an elixir of wisdom. A golden aura of divine protection surrounds you. Now is the time to serve humanity with clear vision. Okay, see, some of you guys are being called to serve, to unify, to think about the whole, everyone as equals, like in a round table, right? Instead of focusing on towers, false illusions, and building things on false foundations, being motivated by ego, right? We're dropping the ego to be more motivated in the spirit and the heart towards the community. Now, this came in the reverse. This could also indicate that some of you are dealing with the falling away of certain people, or people you consider to be friends. The Tower sits right above that, right? That falseness. And then we already talked about being in the desert of Rapunzel and the prince moving off into the desert. So if, like I told you before, if you find yourself in the desert because false friendships are falling away and different things like that, it's because these things were formed out of ego, survival. Not everything is about being selfish, but more so my need for survival. That's over. That's over. We need to come into our spirit now, which what the Six of Swords is talking about, okay? This unified force of heart and air, all right? And they're talking about fire. So once you are able to, after you find yourself in the desert, you are going to find your ability to balance yourself out, because that's what I'm seeing in your spread, guys. You're going to find yourself to balance yourself out, to come back and be unified in the whole for a different mission. All right? There's a new way you're going to be approaching people, a new group of friends you're going to have, okay? A new mission, something that is a little bit more future forward, as well as community conscious, more community based, but for the highest good of the community, okay? All right, so let's get into your spread. The 3 cards that we have in your spread are Hansel and Gretel, okay? We have the 2 of Swords, but it came in reverse, okay? 2 of Swords, and then we have the Fairy Godmother. She's gonna close us out, okay? All right, so let's get into Hansel and Gretel. Give me 1 second. All right, let me get Hansel and Gretel for you. Hansel and Gretel. It says, Hansel and Gretel, okay? It says, in the traditional tarot, this card has always been depicted as the lovers, okay? It conveys the need for trust and loyalty in committed relationships. On a higher level, it symbolizes the balance between physical and spiritual love, okay? And we keep talking about matter and spirit. And that's what I was talking about with the Kundalini, that rising, you know, the Kundalini energy being able to go up and down, but with an ease, a flow, right? Okay, so that's kind of where you're going now. You need to be able to easily move into the spirit and then to be able to come back down into matter, right? But in a balanced way, not where you get locked in the matter and you can't find your way back to spirit, okay? So on a more higher spiritual level rather than thinking about just relationship wise. It could, if it's not about a person, this is your relationship between the material world and the spiritual world, okay? So give me a second. The story of Hansel and Gretel, okay? The story of Hansel and Gretel allows us to see the rudimentary form of divine love at work in the adventure of dedicated siblings, a brother and a sister. In the story, a poor woodcutter lives with his wife and 2 children. The wife is the children's stepmother, and she is very cruel to them. In order to survive, because they have very little food, the stepmother coaxes the husband into abandoning the children in a forest. This reveals his weak willpower and her selfish desires. The children are brought to the woods, the unknown, the pathless world. This is what the woods represent. Just like Rapunzel and the prince ended up in the desert, so did Hansel and Gretel end up in the woods, okay? So, and they're left there to fend for themselves. The moonlight, the receptive, feminine, higher wisdom, plays a significant role in guiding Hansel and Gretel. And guys, I've been picking up, excuse me, 1 sec. Moon energy and a lot of oracle cards for you. The moon always pops up, and I always have to tell you, like, you're dealing with a little bit of light, but it's for a reason, because this is where you are at in your life, only being shown so much, okay? Let's not be afraid of the wilderness. It is a part of our human process, our human growing. This is what we all encounter at different stages. And we're going to encounter it at every stage we make a big jump, okay? It's said that, you know, we cycle in our growth every 7 years. So kind of expect things like that, you know? This is another reason why I'm getting a little off track when I talk about spending and saving and stuff, is because it's the wheel always turns. You have your highs and your lows. So in our humanness, we have to expect things to change all the time, right? So let's go back. So the wife, she gets rid of the kids, right? All they have is the moonlight. So it says it plays a significant role in guiding Hansel and Gretel. They are also guided by 2 white birds. First, a dove leads them to a candy house, which is personal desire, cravings, oral fixation, material security, beginning awareness of sexuality. Next, a white duck helps them cross the water, which is emotional security, okay? Acting as a bridge to bring them to a new level of love and awareness, moving them away, right? From the more base things, okay? The desires, the cravings, the oral fixation. You finally understand your sexuality, but you need to control it, okay? Control that sexuality. Don't let that desire overrun you. Then it says, Hansel and Gretel need to work together in harmony, to trust each other implicitly. In finding the candy house, they believe they have found heaven, since they have been suffering so long without food. Hansel nibbles at the roof, which is the head or spirit, and Gretel nibbles at the window, which is the soul. Okay? They are well fed and fattened up, and the witch who lives there ushers them to tiny beds where they awaken. When they awaken, they realize they are prisoners. All right? See, look, they've become prisoners of their own desires. They've become prisoners of too much. Because they had so little, they took so much, right? And some of you could feel like that. It's like, I've been restricted for so long and I want what I want, right? But those desires, when they're too strong, they can become our prison, okay? So, look. So it says, when they awaken, they realize they are prisoners. In religious writings, the dove often appears as an image of the Holy Spirit. In fairy tales, the pure spiritual forces, as yet unattained by the senses, are also symbolized by the dove or another white bird. The old crippled witch, symbolizing the intellect, is blind to the true nature and growth of the eternal in the human being. Okay? She's blind, right? Because look, ultimately, self-destruction occurs when she attempts to outwit little Gretel. Okay? It's the young girl who instead tricks the witch, pushing her head into the fires of her own large oven. See, the soul, remember they said Gretel was nibbling at the window, which is the soul. So the old witch is intellect by itself. It underestimated the soul. It underestimates what the soul wants. The soul will win out, which is why certain things start falling apart. You're like, what's going on? It's because your soul is emerging. The Kundalini, it's emerging. It's coming out. Saying it needs to be just like what is it? What Rapunzel was saying, I need to be heard. Throat chakra, all right? So, right. So ultimately self-destruction occurs when she attempts to outwit little Gretel. It is the young girl who instead tricks the witch, pushing her head into the fires of her own large oven. The witch, who had wanted to devour the children, signifies the dark regions of consciousness that must be recognized and purified in the fire. We all have darkness, and it has to be purified, okay? Certain things could be coming up in your life right now where you could be acting out of character, and you're like, I don't normally act this way. I don't know what's pushing me to say certain things or act in a certain manner. It's because it is your shadow part that needs to be recognized and put into its right place. You know, you need to know what you're capable of and to choose not to do that, right? Not to do a certain thing that's destructive. At this point, the children are liberated. Gretel, the soul, has rescued Hansel, the spirit. United, brother and sister return to their home. However, in order to arrive safely at their parents' house, they must enter a new state of consciousness. The earthly soil is no longer capable of supporting them. They must travel across water, the stream of flowing life, on the wings of spirit, the white duck. On the highest level, once spirit escapes from the snare of the sense world, the candy house and carnal love, it begins to recall the true home from which it sprang, the eternal love. When this card appears in your reading, a deep spiritual initiation or union may be taking place. Realize that each person has a feminine and masculine balance, and that it is now time for you to bring these inner components into a state of balance and equilibrium. Hansel is a symbol of the animus, the wind, the spirit, the male energy. Gretel signifies the anima, the soul, nurturing, and female energy. Together, hand in hand, their rapport indicates preliminary form of the divine marriage. Meditate on the beauty of these two children inspiring each other, and remember that they reflect the lost love of their parents, who have been worn down by the rigors of life. The spiritual embrace, the romantic touch, the heart-centered gaze can allow you to re-experience the riches of unconditional love. Wow. Okay. You know what's so funny? So we were talking about Rapunzel and we were talking about Hansel and Gretel. One of the connections that I see between the card is that these kids end up in these negative situations because of their parents. Okay? Now, I would say it could seem sexist. And it could seem sexist because it always seems like the wife is the reason why the husband makes a bad decision. In Rapunzel's situation, his wife says, go and get the herbs and, bring them back because that's what I want. He loves his wife so much. So I'm going to go get these herbs and I've given up my daughter because I want to please my wife. Again, the father, what does he do? Gives up his children. We got to sacrifice these kids so that we can survive because we're starving, because that's the stepmother is so cruel. So each time the man makes a bad decision because the woman tells him to, basically, right? This connection, I feel, goes back to Genesis, this biblical thing of blaming Eve for the apple. You know, Eve eats the apple. She tells Adam, you do it too. Adam does it. God comes down and they get kicked out. And we blame it on Eve. But maybe it's not about man and woman or the mother being the bad one. This could also be a thing coming up, since these two stories both are bringing up parents. This could be saying that some of you guys either need to forgive or process something that your parents have done in your childhood or in the past because of their own limited understanding, right? Or because of their own financial circumstances. See, in Hansel and Gretel's issue, their parents are poor. They're starving. Over here, Rapunzel's father wants to please the mother so much. Maybe your mother only cared about pleasing the man in her life, or vice versa. The father only cared about pleasing the woman in his life. And you felt like they put people before you, or your parents couldn't be there for you because they worked too hard. You know, you may have felt abandoned by them. So revisit these feelings and as to why they played out the way they did, okay? Because this could be an issue coming up as your Kundalini is rising, as a childhood thing that could be a block for you. And I'm not being devil's advocate. It just could be what it was. It just may be what is causing the block, and it's for you to look at and process, okay? But I was gonna say something before I was gonna say that. The whole woman thing, right? Why is it always the woman's fault? Let's go back to tarot. Tarot, the mother and the father in tarot are the Empress and the Emperor. They both need each other, okay? So without her Emperor, the Empress makes creations that overrun her territory, her home. Okay, it becomes too much. It could become so much that she creates or does things that she stops looking after certain things, and then their decay starts to ensue. Things aren't being taken care of. You know, it could be like she becomes the cat lady or the dog lady or whoever, you know, where now I'm overrun by my love of things and my ability to create. I need an emperor to give me structure. All right. I need an emperor for my plans. I need structure. I need limits. That's what the masculine energy brings. Your parents may not have had balanced masculine, feminine energy, and you may struggle with balancing your masculine and feminine energy. And these stories could be bringing that up. That if it occurred in childhood and it had to do with your parents, it is manifested in you having an imbalance in those two energies. But now it's time for you to balance them out. We're not bringing this up to blame them, because now we have to take responsibility for our own energies, and do what we have to do. But we got to figure out, why do we keep running into the same patterns over and over again? Okay, it could be because I wasn't shown the proper way to live in my masculine and my feminine, because they both have to be balanced out. And it could be whether you lived in a single parent home, or having both parents, because one person can show you a balance in energies. But if the energies were separate, where you had two people in the home and one or the other or both did not live in their true masculine and feminine energy, then there could have been a disparity there, which causes you to repeat patterns that aren't healthy, okay? That aren't aligned to living whole and full in masculine, feminine energy, marrying those two, what the lovers do. Bring them together, the truth, bring it together, that you have both inside of you, okay? And this is what could be this Two of Swords energy, Two of Swords in reverse, because when we're dealing with traditional tarot, that's just a block. But let's move on, let's go ahead. So Two of Swords, let me get that for you. Two of Swords, what this is saying, it came in the reverse, but what it's saying to us is fencing and dueling fencing and dueling are popular sports and art forms that require skill, balance, which is what we've been talking about, and grace. They involve lucid and quick movements coupled with the insight and awareness it takes to yield and surrender to one's opponent. Potentially, our minds can function in this fashion. However, in our stressful culture, where dualistic thinking reigns, we inevitably get entangled in indecision and self-doubt. Resolving life's conflicts can become agonizing feats of battle, okay? We often remain unyielding or unable to surrender to a difficult situation put before us. This card offers the perspective that our mental conflicts can be experienced as a sport in which balance and wholeness are a priority. We're just saying this. All of life is divided into opposites, yin and yang, male and female, light and dark, joy and sorrow. We must know one side in order to learn its polar complement. The crossed swords represent mental conflict. The radiant sun, this is mental conflict, but the radiant sun, it says, behind the sword is a reminder of the wholeness that overlights any form of dualness, okay? That all things are one and put together, okay? And they yield, there's a yielding, okay? It says, it may be a time in your life when you are making new decisions or searching for answers to old patterns, which is the Tower. Making a new decision, getting rid of old patterns, okay? Move towards your light and wisdom and let the answers emerge like a great sun. Allow old worries to sink into the past like a poignant sunrise. Clarity will come as you gently yield to the moment. Right. You got to give in to the thing that you are feeling most undecided about. All right. You have to make a decision. You can't not face whatever's in front of you. Something is in front of you and it's causing you to feel like, I don't want to move forward with this, but you need to. And whether this is starting something new or having to walk away from something, it will eventually make you whole. Okay? There's wholeness behind the decision you make. There's happiness if you make the right decision. And you need to, they talked about this yielding. I think you need to give in to whatever the change is that's happening in your life. Okay? Your last card is the Fairy Godmother. Fairy Godmother. Okay? Let's get this for you. Fairy Godmother. Okay, the Fairy Godmother. It says, what the High Priestess was to the traditional tarot, the Fairy Godmother is to the inner child cards. While not the main character in the original Grimm Brothers Cinderella, the Fairy Godmother has played a big part in shaping our inner awareness of magical helpers due to the Walt Disney adaptation of the story. In several folk ballads, the Fairy Queen is addressed as Queen of Heaven. Welsh fairies are known as the Mothers or the Mother's Blessing. Peasants called the fairies godmothers or good ladies. They claimed a fairy could transform a human into an animal or stone and back again. In Cinderella, this is the kind of enchantment that took place. The animals were turned into human helpers until the enchantment spell broke at midnight. In the original Cinderella, the hazelnut tree, which bloomed from a branch on Cinderella's true mother's grave, is the reborn mother or magical helper to Cinderella. Wow. Okay. So some of you guys, this High Priestess energy, this Godmother energy are your guides and spirit guides that are near you. And I keep telling you, Queen of Cups keeps coming out and mother-like figures keep showing up. Okay. So you guys, you have your mother, whoever was a motherly figure to you that isn't around is definitely near you. But this is also talking about your inner wisdom, the mother inside of you, the nurturer in you. Okay, it's speaking. It is speaking. All right. So it says we have our High Priestess or Fairy Godmother within us, where we honor her. Where we honor her is in the deepest places of our psyche. She grows into our wisdom as we gain faith in the spirit of our eternal and undeniable protection in the universe. In the ancient tarot, the High Priestess is the mystery teacher, the Papist, who holds the key to the gates of our inner sanctuary, our innate wisdom, intuition, and prayerful reverence for all of life. In ancient Egypt, she was known as Isis, and was connected strongly with the rhythms and cycles of the moon. When this card appears in your reading, your higher mind knows the answers. Listen to your intuition. Cultivate your faith. Have faith, guys. The number 2 is a balance between spiritual and physical realms. It is also a balance between the inward way and the external path. Okay? 2 is an emotional number and deeply sensitive. 2 prominent fairy godmothers in The Wizard of Oz and Cinderella come in times of need, times of crisis. The fairy godmother reminds you of the journey ahead and the need to persevere to accomplish soul work. Guys, it's so much here. And I'm gonna tell you something. They talked about 2. I'm gonna show you in the spread, right? We have Hansel and Gretel. We have the 2 of Swords. And the High Priestess here and in the traditional tarot represent the number 2. And 2 is balance. And we're not talking about just balance of let me balance out my day and make sure I have time for fun and time for work and friends and family and me. That's there too. But it's talking about the balance between my masculine and my feminine. It's talking about the balance between my physical world and my spiritual world and bringing them together. Like I told you, the Kundalini goes up and down. So you have to be comfortable being here and being in the spirit. And if you've been down too long, it's time to rise. And then like we said before, as we rise, we come through blocks. Time to clear blocks so that we are moving up and down with no problem. Okay? Hold on. Another thing that I want to tell you guys, because it talked about this protection here. She grows into our wisdom as we gain faith in the spirit of our eternal and undeniable protection in the universe. Know that your ego can make you feel like the things that are falling apart makes you feel like I don't have any protection or nobody's looking out for me, when in essence it is for your highest good. So it is the universe looking out for you. This is sort of why you have to get balanced in the mind to know a spirit thing from an ego thing, because your ego will tell you you are under attack, God does not support you. You have no one around you. When in a sense, God is bringing certain things, God, your spirit guides, your soul, really, it's your soul, bringing false things down, which feel uncomfortable to the ego, only for the real you to emerge, to bring you true security, a true foundation, something everlasting. This, even on a mundane level, is talking about relationships, because we see this in the Lovers. We see there's a block in the Two of Swords, and we see the High Priestess telling you to use your intuition, right? Okay, Lovers, whether it be relationship at work or between you and another person. And then we have to ask our childhood occurrences and experiences to let us know, how are we creating false realities? What from my childhood is creating a false relationship, a false work life, social life? What about my childhood is generating this projection, okay, that my soul is now finding I have to tear it down, because a tower is the first thing that came, right? So this is what I'm picking up, because your souls are rising. Throat chakra mentioned in Rapunzel in the tower, okay? You are becoming more psychic. You are growing. You are maturing. This is why destruction is happening, to mature you, all right? And your inner child is asking you to look at your relationships, your decisions, and your motivations, okay? That's what's happening. So if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be updated anytime that I put out a reading. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, the link to book is in the description box below. If you are interested in a 30-minute recorded reading, go ahead and email me your name and date of birth. After you pay using Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, I'll record your reading and send you back a link to that reading via email. The next group reading will be Monday, I think. Yeah, Monday is the 15th. So November 15th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you would like to participate in that reading, go ahead and join Patreon, because the Zoom link for that reading will be on Patreon. Okay, guys? That is all I have for you. Yeah, the current Patreon playlist is also in the description box below. Guys, all my information is in the description box. My email address, the prices for readings. Be on the lookout, because updated prices will be coming out soon for the holiday season. And yeah, just look out for that. But everything you need to know about anything is in the description box. All right, so I will see you guys later.